Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Monique and I enjoy creating art, traditionally and digitally. If art is something that you're interested in, definitely make sure to subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss out on future videos. It's been a really long time since I've created any YouTube video. I have created some shorts here and there to post just to stay active, but I am back. I hope. I don't have a set schedule just yet, but once I do, I will definitely let you all know. Today's video is just going to be about me creating this portrait with markers. I did this portrait during Huevember, so in November, and I started out by creating a grid. And what I used to create this grid is a makeshift ruler from a Sherman-Williams paint stirrer. I just used that and I imported the picture from, I believe this picture was from Pinterest. I imported that into Procreate. I added the grid that's in Procreate and then I measured that out with my ruler and I placed it onto my paper and then I just created the lines. I wanted to use the grid method with this portrait and all the other ones because it had been a while since I had drawn anything this big, especially a portrait. I normally stick to the smaller portraits, probably like a fourth of the size of this one. So the grid method really helped me to make sure that everything was in line, except for this part that I'm working on right now, which is the nose. I later realized that I made the chin too small, so I had to go back and erase the nose and the mouth area and make the chin longer so that it fit his face, because if it didn't, then everything would have been out of place and kind of looking weird. And here's the part where I realized that I had messed up with the proportions of his face. So I just started to erase everything so that I can make sure that everything is lined up correctly. That's the only thing with the grid method. If you're not careful and you're kind of just drawing, then you'll, I'll mess up with where everything is supposed to be placed. So I got that all fixed and I just continued to sketch out the rest of his figure, and I also drew in his clothes, which is what I'm doing right now. I'm going back in and starting with his nose. So as I am sketching out the rest of this portrait before I get into the markers, I wanted to talk to you guys about where I've been, what I've been doing, and how's life. We ended up moving again, and that took up quite a bit of time in holding me up in creating any more videos. And then the longer it took me to create videos, the more nervous I got to create them, which is kind of weird, I guess, but I was a little nervous to create any videos because it had been so long and I didn't know how well my editing skills would be, and then also doing the voiceovers, everything that involved creating a video made me a little nervous, but I decided to just jump in and get started because I hear that's the best way to get out of your nerves. And I've created videos before, so it should just be like riding a bike, right? All right, so we are finally into creating the portrait with the markers. The sketch is down, and I've started with the yellow color for Huevember. So instead of doing a bunch of portraits throughout the month of November, I decided to do just 10 portraits, and I picked three of those so then I could break it up into 10 days. And by the 30th day, I should have been on my last portrait, which I was. And I was very happy that I was able to complete this challenge because I wanted to do it last year, but I didn't really have the skills to do it. And honestly, I don't know if I had the skills to do it this year either, but I wanted to do it, so I did, and I jumped in. So I am using the Ohuhu markers. It is the brush nib set. I believe it's the 216 marker set that comes in that really big pack. So I picked all the yellows that looked similar to the three colors that I had to pick from, and I just started coloring in the portrait with the lightest shade, and then I gradually started to build up my colors. So right now I'm just adding some detail into the ear with a dark yellow. And a little bit by his nose as well because there was some shading in the picture there, and I blended that out. And now I'm just going to work on his hair, and I didn't really know where to start by doing his hair, so I did a bunch of stippling around his edges and the sides of his hair, and then on the top, because it was darker and more of a solid color, I just colored that all in with one color, not doing the stippling method, and I think it turned out really, really well. I was very pleased with it, and I was happy that it turned out so well because I was a little nervous about how it was going to look in the end. Once I had his face pretty colored in, I moved down to his neck. I found that creating the face first was easiest instead of coloring in the entire piece with one color and then kind of working my way around each section. I found that going one section at a time made it easier for me to focus just on one part instead of the whole picture so that I didn't overwhelm myself with so much information that I needed to complete this portrait. So after his face, I moved on to his neck and added in the lightest color, and then I started going in with the darkest color and adding in some of that shading. I found that going in with the lightest color and then darkening the portrait made it easier to understand where all of the shadows were. And after his neck was all colored in, I moved on to his clothing. And his clothing was pretty simple, it was straightforward. I just went in with the lightest color, and then I decided to go in with different tones of the yellow just so that I could fill in the rest of his jacket that he was wearing and the shirt, because a lot of it was the same color. There was some parts like his collar that was darker than his actual jacket, and then everything else was pretty simple. I enjoyed it. You guys will have to let me know what you've been up to this, uh, well, I guess the beginning of this year, how your new year has started, and how your year ended from last year. If there's anything new or exciting that you wanted to share, or really anything that happened that you're willing to share, I definitely would love to hear about it so that we can connect a little bit more down in the comment section. And here I'm just erasing some of the pencil that I can still see before I color in the background. And with the backgrounds, with all of my portraits that I did during Huevember, I tried to pick the complementary color of the portrait itself. So with this one, the portrait is mainly yellow, and so I picked purple, a light purple, to go for the background. I wanted to add a background to these portraits because I felt like if I hadn't, then they would kind of just be floating on the page, especially since I added a border around the portrait. I didn't want it to look misplaced on the page, so a background is what was needed. And here I am adding in some detail with a micron pen. I thought it was going to be a good idea, but in the end I really didn't like how it turned out. I kind of wish I just used the colored pencils, which with the other portraits I do. I saw an artist on Instagram and she would use the micron pen to add small details to her portrait, and I thought I could do the same thing, but it didn't turn out how I wanted. It doesn't look bad, it just didn't turn out exactly how I wanted. But now the portrait is all finished, and I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I plan on posting hopefully next week. If not, I will let you guys know on Instagram, so make sure to follow me over there. And I really hope you enjoyed this video as much as I did, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.